Good morning. Happy Transformation Tuesday. I'm Mary Corrado from Mary Corrado Designs here in Portland, Oregon. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. My website, Mary Corrado Designs. And I have totally forgotten to say this, but I have a little showroom at Urbanite on Southeast Grand Avenue in Portland. And there are a ton of vendors in the building. So come in, say hi, and we can chat. Okay, so today, to get started, I am going to do a lamp. And this lamp is, I don't know if it's a Kelly Wearstler original, but it's a Kelly Wearstler design. I have seen this lamp everywhere. I have seen it on so many websites. It is such a cool lamp that can go from really simple modern interiors, really contemporary interiors. But you know what? I have seen this in so many websites for artists and dealers who deal in European antiques. They're constantly mixing this lamp with all these beautiful European antiques, with the gold gilding, with all of the beautiful milk painted furniture pieces, all kinds of stuff. So this is something I thought, this would be really fun to do. And I love playing with plaster, the Venetian plaster of Amy Howard's. So I am going to be doing this lamp in Venetian plaster. Now, this didn't print 100%, but I do want to show you. I recently was in Paris, and this was from one of these showrooms in the Paris Flea Market. They had, everything they had was lighting done with all this plaster on it. And this actually was a full face that hung down, and this is a ceiling fixture. So it was just funky, cool, like mixed with all these antiques. So I thought, you know what, I'm doing this on that lamp. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how I figured out doing it, and you decide how you want to do it. Okay, so today we are going to need a pair of gloves. We are going to need, because I'd like to get my hands in the plaster, so I am going to use gloves. I recommend you do. It can kind of dry out your skin. And we are also going to need, if you've never tried Amy's Venetian plaster, this stuff is great. It is really fun to work with. It's easy to work with, and it's versatile. I mean, who knew you're going to be putting it on a lamp, right? We're also going to be using Amy's one-step paint. This is Ballet white. You have to have a base for your Venetian plaster, so we have to paint the lamp base with the one-step. I also went to the craft store and bought bags of these little wooden balls. And they're the kind that are round, but kind of a little bit flat on the end. And so this is where they are perfect for gluing on. And the final lamp that I'm going to show you, I used actually larger ones, and because it's a larger lamp, but you'll see that at the end. So you'll need to get, these have like 18 in a package. This little one that I got, let me see if I can show you the little wood pile. And these were just under an inch by an inch round. So, and $3.50. So 2 packages of these, which will give you about 36. We will need clean slate to clean the lamp first. We will need some tape to tape out the neck of the lamp, all that kind of good stuff. A tape measure. Now, if you have the kind that you use for sewing that are made of fabric, that's even better because these don't bend that easily, but I just used this. I couldn't find my old little fabric tape measure. I need Gorilla Glue. I tried hot glue. It didn't survive. They popped off after the whole lamp was done, so I had to go back and re-glue. Just a marker or a pencil, anything to mark. And we're going to need, this is what I mix my Venetian plaster with. So this thing, because you do have to mix it really, really well. And that I just got at Goodwill. It's just a little hand mixer. It works great. Okay, so to get started, here is my little lamp that I am going to show you kind of my first steps. Now, I think I'm ready to turn the camera down and we'll get going. If you have any questions, please ask. I will answer them as I see them. I can't do it while I'm doing my video, but I certainly can help you along afterwards. I think that's it. I'm going to get started. I'm going to turn this down. Hopefully you can see everything just fine. Okay, so basically to get started, I would tape off the neck of this. And so go ahead and just carefully tape that off. This is going just my kind of little practice piece, so I'm not going to be super, super careful as far as getting it perfect, because I'm going to move on to another lamp to show you. But at this point, I've taped this off. I don't want it to get anything on the neck. And then I take my tape measure and I kind of assess the size of this lamp. This one is 8.5. So what I did on the one I'm going to show you is I decided to go down every 1.5 inches. Well, no, I take that back. I went down, my first mark was 1.5 inches down. So I made a mark. Then I decided to go 2 inches from there. So that was down to 3.5. Then 2 inches from there is 5.5. See what I mean? If you used a fabric, it's a little easier. So make sure if you have one of those, use it. Okay, 5.5. And then I marked again at 7.5. And that's where I figured I was gluing on the wood balls. Okay, so I kind of eyeballed it. I wanted to make sure it looked straight. Let's come down straight. And then when I did my sample lamp, I did 5 around. And that keeps it's not as packed as maybe the picture is. But so what I did is I had about 2 inches, just over 2 inches between them. So I went around again. This is just kind of the tedious part. You go around again, you mark 1.5 inches, you mark 3.5, 5.5, and 7.5. Now, I'm pretty good at eyeballing. So here's this so far. So then I would go again, do another one, measure, make sure you measure, and partly eyeballing, but partly measuring so you don't suddenly just have a clump on one side and it's not very good on the other. Okay, so once we have done this, let's say this is all measured out. This is how you attach. And this too is like the prep to the piece. This is not the most fun part because you do kind of have to be patient. You have to hold these down. I used Gorilla Super Glue, and it says you only need a drop, but I did kind of just put the glue around this rim, and you just stick it on. And then you kind of hold it for 10 to 45 seconds. I had to be a little patient because I tried a couple other kinds of glue. Like I said, I did hot glue and they didn't stay on. I then tried that E6000 and it slid. It wouldn't stay on, it would just kind of slide off. So this is my third try with this super glue. It seems to be working on my other lamp that I did. So this is what you do. So you just wait, let it attach, and we go from there. So at this point, I'm going to switch lamps and see, because it's not even attached yet, but you just be patient and it will. Okay, so now I have switched lamps. Here they are. And I have partially, because at this point we need to paint. We need to paint our one step over the entire lamp. If you do not paint, the raw wood. The Venetian plaster will attach to it. It will dry, and then it will chip off. So you have got to use the one step. It needs the base to be able to adhere. Okay, so at this point, I'm not going to make you watch it all, but I am just painting the wood balls. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Because I am going to use plaster on top, and I do want it to be, I like the rough look. It doesn't need to be pristine and shiny and perfect. So I want it a little more organic. You'll see at my final lamp is very organic. But as you can see too, just painting it with one step paint, if you wanted to do a couple of coats of one step, let it dry between, you really could just paint it with one step. You could also paint it with Amy's lacquer spray paint if you wanted that sleeker look. It's kind of the sky's the limit with this, and it doesn't even have to be white. You can always add some pigment colors to your Venetian plasters, and you could make this its own color. Okay. So I just make sure you turn it upside down. You want to make sure you get the paint everywhere. 100% coverage. No holidays on this. I did do a little vase, and I wasn't careful about painting the wooden balls, and sure enough, it chipped right off. So don't do that to yourself. Do all these steps because it is worth it. Okay, so here we have the little lamp. I don't have, you can fill it in more if you wanted. If you like a little bit more, go ahead and do that. But here so far we have this funky little lamp. I think it's so cute. Now, this needs to dry 100%, and then we can come back and we can do our plaster. So while this I set aside to let dry a bit, I'm going to show you how you mix your plaster. Now I have a bucket, and because it kind of flies a little bit when you turn on the power tool. So anyway, you're going to use about equal parts of plaster and water, kind of warm water. So I'm going to just sort of eyeball it a bit. Just going to pour some in there. I'm going to take a stir stick, and I'm going to add a little bit of water at first and stir it up. It's nice for it to kind of go into a paste first. I mean, it immediately will like soak it up. So you'll know that you'll need more water. Continue to add. And then I'm going to blend it with the electric blender. Okay, see at this point? Now I'm going to use the electric. You want this to get really smooth. You want everything blended. You don't need chunks. So go ahead. You can do bigger amounts also. I just don't need a bunch to show you today, so I'm not going to do it. So give it a good blend. let's take a look. I'm going to get a clean stir stick. That's looking pretty good. For the sake of time, I'm not going to continue, but if I were you, I would continue to smooth it out just a little bit more, just so that it's very, very smooth. But this will go on just fine. And see the thickness? It's thick. It's like a thick, very thick sour cream, which I like. Okay, so now what you can do, let's get our little lamp back. I'm going to go on the area that is dry. And what you can do is you can brush it on. I used a small chip brush and just load up and start brushing on. Now, I actually use my hands a lot too, just with my gloves on. But I love how it goes on. It looks very kind of organic. And yes, I would probably have stirred this a little bit longer, blended it a little bit longer. So go ahead and do that. And your Venetian plaster will stay in the plaster form forever. Make sure you cover it well. You can even put a film of like a saran on it and then put some water on top of that and put a tight fitting lid, and it will survive forever. So you don't have to blend it and then think you've wasted it. Okay, so then what I did was I just continued on. And if you want, you can use your hands. If you want it to be, not have brush marks, but it will have, you know, other kind of swirls and all kinds of stuff. It just depends on how you like it. And I did actually do a couple coats. So I let it dry. It took, I don't know, a couple hours, maybe a little less to let it dry. And you can even, you know, dry it with a blow dryer or a heat gun or whatever. And then I added another coat. I just wanted it very coated. I wanted it thick. I wanted it to look organic. And so that's how I did it. Now, don't forget to, the big tips, don't forget to clean slate everything before you start. Make sure absolutely that you use a one-step paint on the base of your product. Make sure that you wear gloves. Be patient with your super glue. What else? Tape off. You can come back if you wanted to. You could add, I added a base on the large one that I'm going to show you, because like it had just a bottom like this, and I wanted it to have a little bit of a base on it. So I glued a base on, and then I added more of the plaster all the way around it. I could have left it smoother and added gold gilding to it, which would have been a little more like the pictures, but I wanted kind of that crazy drippy, not drippy, but just kind of that crazy textured look on this lamp. So I'm going to show you the final product. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Please ask any questions that you have, but here is my lamp. And I am going to carry it over rather than turn my camera. And here it is. It is cool, it's funky, it feels like what I saw in the Paris Flea Markets, which is so exciting. I just use a white shade on it. I'll send some photos, and it's really cool, and it's really sturdy, and I think it's gonna go in so many different interiors. So have fun with this. Thanks, Kelly Wearstler, for your ideas, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.